Giannis going the other way, down the lane, slams it down with a ferocious one-hand jam.
Potawatomi Casino Hotel and Michelob Ultra. You've been listening to Bucks Basketball on the home of the Bucks, WTMJ.
If you're concerned about heart health, remember that you are not powerless. At the Froedtert and the Medical College of Wisconsin Health Network, we're pushing to outsmart heart and vascular disease by helping to assess your risks and guide you to heart strength, by providing breakthrough research and renowned expertise for treating common conditions and the most serious. Let's stay out in front of heart and vascular disease and embrace every day life has to offer. Learn more at froedtert.com/heart.
What's on your wrist, Ben?
A watch.
The other wrist.
Oh, I'm handcuffed to a briefcase containing secret plans.
Why?
We can't let these secret plans fall into the wrong hands.
What secret plans?
This briefcase contains the specifications for the mother of all penny mustard bedroom collections.
The colonial bedroom?
Quiet, Nicole.
It's no secret the colonial bedroom is gorgeous.
American made with solid wood and forever tight bed brackets.
And the drawer bottom's strong enough to stand on.
Will you please keep it down?
In Penny Mustard's 3-decade existence, there's never been a bedroom more carefully constructed than the Colonial Collection.
Precisely why these trade secrets need to stay under wraps.
Heck no. We need to tell the world about the Colonial Bedroom.
You'd make a terrible spy, Arvid.
Come see the Colonial Bedroom with queen-size bed, 6-drawer dresser, mirror, and nightstand, starting at $88.41 at Penny Mustard.
Showrooms in Milwaukee and Chicago.
PennyMustard.com.
Secret versions of what people want.
Penny Mustard Furnishing.
Rick, describe some of our wow Christmas gifts while Sarah and I name the prices and add a little commentary.
Okay. A 1.5 carat total weight diamond bolo bracelet.
Amazingly unique.
Just $1,598.
Half carat total weight inside outside diamond hoop earrings.
Just $698.
1 carat total weight is just $898.
A fabulous 3 carat oval created diamond.
But we only have a few of these.
Just $3,998.
A 1 carat total weight created diamond tennis bracelet.
Just $898.
We also have the big 1 carat total weight natural diamond tennis bracelet for just $1,798.
And from now until Christmas, we have 18 months same as cash financing.
With approved credit.
And a delightful gift for you with every purchase of at least $300.
Merry Christmas.
Welcome to Kessler's.
Find the Kesslers nearest you at KesslersDiamonds.com.
This is Libby Collins. On WTMJ Conversations this Sunday, we talk with nurse Christine Hoyland about her experiences helping people in need throughout the world.
The reality of being in a war-torn country was always there. The air raid sirens would go off daily, sometimes in the middle of the night. If I ever had a moment of feeling at peace, that was an abrupt reminder that there was a war going on.
WTMJ Conversations, Sunday mornings at 11 on WTMJ. WTMJ, W277CV, and WKTI HD2 Milwaukee from the Annex Wealth Management Studios. This is News Radio WTMJ, a Good Karma brand station. Now that the game is done, it's our time to check in.
Jackson finds Portis at the rim, and the reverse layup good by Bobby Portis.
Bucks Talk starts now.
Pass out, Rollins to Portis, and a right corner three. There's another one. Bobby Portis, 31 tonight on 5 made triple.
And now, live from Fiserv Forum, here's Justin Garcia and Brandon Sneide.
Bobby Portis steps up big tonight for the Bucks. I don't know that it's really at this point debatable. The best game of his career, 34 points, 10 boards, 8 assists is a career high, and did it on a night where the Bucks needed to find a lot of scoring without Giannis and without Damian Lillard. So top to bottom, you got that type of production from Bobby, from Chris Middleton, who had a huge third quarter, Ryan Rollins impactful. You go up and down the list, and everybody that stepped foot on the floor contributed in some way tonight. The Bucks bounce back big with this win over the Wizards, 112-101. 855-616-1620, the number to join us tonight on Bucks Talk. as we got, not to bury the lead, Brandon, we got to see the unveiling of the NBA Cup Champions.
Sure did. Looks fantastic.
Banner.
Yeah, I like
something
it.
that is certainly very polarizing out there on social media, I'm sure, on the show tonight. But, yeah, this was a very impressive win because I mentioned this on the game broadcast, but if you were to say, hey, the Bucks are up 26, I think was the high.
Mm-hmm.
Bucks are up 20 on the Wizards. I think it would be met with a shoulder shrug of, okay, fine. It's the Wizards who have won 4 games so far this season. And then you add, but Giannis and Damian Lillard aren't playing. And they played last night. This team did. Chris Middleton played on night 2 of a back-to-back, which I think we saw the injury report earlier this morning, and you saw, all right, Dame's still out, doesn't feel like Giannis is going to play. If that's something different, back spasms on the injury report, and he's questionable. But Chris Middleton is listed as probable. Okay, let's see what we got here. The ball movement is what stood out all night long.
Yeah, Justin, I thought this was, you nailed the nail there on the head. I just thought that this was a game that you and I talked about last night that you had to win. It was a game where you were going to come in no matter who you had, and you were going to be the favored, team to win the game. And you got to give Bobby Portis a lot of credit, and he's going to be the first one to get my game ball tonight. I think that goes, Justin, without saying. But without number 34 playing, Bobby Portis pouring in 34 points, the most he scored in a Bucks uniform. He was just 4 points shy of his career high of 38. Also added the 10 rebounds and the 8 assists. No Dame, no Giannis, as you mentioned, getting 34 points. Look, I think when you have the ability to have the flexible team in this roster that this Bucks team has, and Bobby is usually coming off the bench, he's usually the 6th guy off the bench. For him to be pulled off the bench, inserted into the starting lineup, it throws players off a little bit. They're creatures of habit. But when he gets going, especially here at Pfizer Forum, it's just a completely different vibe. So shout out to BP tonight. I thought he was fantastic. He set the tone for this team early on. And the second game ball, Justin, goes to – it's going to go to Ryan Rollins. And I took some heat for this on social media. Not only did the banner take some heat, but I took some heat. I tweeted out, and I'm curious to gather your thoughts at some point during the show, that I think he should be the primary backup point guard to Damian Lillard when Damian Lillard obviously returns and he's healthy. I'm not saying Pat Connaughton or DeLon Wright should be, benched or sat for any other reason. I just think that Rollins provides the athleticism, he provides the defense, he can bring the scoring. Tonight he had 14 points. He obviously got the start. Something you and I talked about last night. We were curious to see if Rollins was going to get the start. He obviously did. That he was the primary ball handler for the Bucks tonight. And I don't know. I like every time he steps onto the court, Justin, I like what I see from Ryan Rollins. He's not going to wow you. He's not going to, he's not a wizard with the ball in his hand, but he just does things, I think, solid across the board for this Bucks team. And I think going forward, I'd be curious to see what his role is with this team. He's 22 years old. He's young. Obviously, he's got to earn those minutes from Doc Rivers, but I just like what I saw from him. So Bobby Portis getting the first game ball, Ryan Rollins getting the second with the 14 points.
Come on, man. Just another day in the NBA, man. Every day is a dogfight.
855-616-1620, the number to join us tonight on Bucks Talk as they get back in the win column and have a pretty favorable schedule in front of them for the next 6 or 7 games or so. Let's start things in Port Washington and check in with our pal Dick. It's been a while since we heard from you. Your favorite event, the NBA Cup, has come to an end. The Bucks won it. So let's start there. Dick, what were your thoughts on the tournament and everything we saw from the Bucks?
All right. I got one smart Alec comment, but then I do have some other things that I think need to be discussed. My first smart Alec comment is that I'm kind of disappointed in the Bucks for the banner they chose tonight. They at least could have sprung for a higher quality sheet to print the banner on, rather than the generic Kohl's brand version of this. I mean, that was, I think, one of the most pathetic banners I've ever seen. Now, with that said, I think I have a solution to this. What they need to have is a banner that says NBA Cup, or at least a Velcro thing, because every time, the airline from Arabia isn't going to stay with it. So you can't put in a sponsor there, but you can put in NBA Cup. And then below it, have a thing of columns that puts the year in. I think it's important to do that.
Real quick here, Dick. Real quick.
Yeah.
That's what it is.
Yeah.
The banner is identical.
No.
Yes, it is. So the banner is identical to the conference champions and division champions banner. There's only been one instance, so that's why the year is centered. But it's set up the exact same.
Okay. Well, as Doc pointed out in something I read today, it's too big. I think in some stadiums they have.
So what he said was basically what we see here, in that you need to hang some type of banner to commemorate this, but it should not be as big as a championship banner. And that's exactly what this is. It's the same size as the conference and division champions.
Okay. But what I'm saying is that you have a grid with spaces to add years on. In other words, NBA Cup have a line down the middle.
Yeah, I get it, but that's what this is. There's just no grid lines.
Yeah. It looked cheap as hell. Okay. Let's move on. I think that's what everyone on the internet's talking about. What I will say about this that is good, and I'm admitting some guilt here. I think that the Bucks really were focused in the two games before the championship game, and I think that's going to carry over because we played a lot of young guys, and I think experience was great. My biggest thing about the championship game is I wanted to get out of it without injuries. I really didn't care until we won, if we won or lost it. And I guess I'm still concerned about Lillard's calf. He's had a history of that. But my biggest point with the NBA doing this is that, and this is pointed out by several players, we won this tournament. They eschewed having the champagne and beer, which I think is great, brilliant. But yet they celebrated, and then all of a sudden, boom, they come back to Milwaukee, fly the next day to Cleveland. What did you expect to happen Friday night? That's exactly what I thought was going to happen. We were going to be blown out. So the NBA's got to look at this is if you're going to make it a special thing, the team that wins it has to get some kind of benefit. And we didn't. We actually were hurt by it because conference games are more important than the championship game because the championship game doesn't count. Now, I don't know how you would do this, but you got to find some way that this championship game gives you some say in who you play, an extra victory, something. Because for the most people, they're going to say, well, are we going to get something from this? Well, no, the championship, the stats don't even count.
Well, yeah.
So that's my take on it. And I admit I'm backtracking a little bit, and I think we're gonna be a lot better because of the way we played in the two games leading up to the championship game.
I think where I come down on it is I don't know if the Bucks are going to be better because of it, but I think it at least shows you what's in the tank. That you saw them having to go up against those types of teams, and the Thunder weren't laissez-faire about it. It's not like they weren't trying to win the game. Same with everybody else the Bucks beat leading up to that. All of these teams, you could see, were playing to win this thing. And I think we've all kind of pointed to the numbers. I did certainly a lot last year of here's the Bucks offense when they have all their guys on the floor. Here's their net rating and their top five lineups and how they stack up against the rest of the league. But we never got to see that applied to really meaningful games. I mean, if you view this as meaningful, I think, again, the way we saw teams approaching it, to me, is what makes it meaningful. And seeing the Bucks perform as they did in those games is what tells me they got that in them. That I see things that can translate to the playoffs and matchups that could be difficult. So I think that's very important that you got to see it now and had some of those questions answered. I agree with the other points that you brought up about there has to be some value to the team that wins this. I don't subscribe to the notion of I've seen everything kicked around, and frankly, I just don't think any of it is really clean. Whether it's, okay, the team that wins the cup is guaranteed to finish in the top 4, so you have home court, or they're guaranteed to finish in the top 6, so you don't have to worry about the play-in tournament. That, to me, is messy, and it doesn't solve a problem in regular season relevancy, because if you tell the team that wins this thing in December, you're good. You don't have to worry about sliding out of the 7th seed. Okay, what's their motivation, and how much are you going to see rest? And we know we're not going to finish in the play-in tournament. We'll take our chances here. We know we're not going to finish lower than 4th. We'll take our chances, and we'll rest guys like Giannis for a couple of games. So that's very tough.
I mean, the 500,000 is pretty.
Well, and see, that's the other thing. I do have some thoughts on that, but even things like add a draft pick. I mean,
yeah, I saw that too.
There's no clean way to do that
there's no
either,
way.
because so I've seen people say, well, it makes sense. Make it the first pick that happens after the lottery.
Mm-hmm.
Fine. So what, the 15th pick?
Yeah.
But where it gets complicated is, what about pick swaps? What about picks that were traded? Because if that's the better pick, teams are going to say, well, wait a minute. Our pick swap is that pick. It's not your pick that's sitting at 27 at the end of the first round, and that's where it starts to get a little messy. There's so many things that have been pointed out and kicked back and forth. To me, the easiest thing, and we talked about this the night of, just make the win count. Just the stats don't count, none of that, but the win counts. So any situation where you would be in a tie, you win the tiebreaker because you have an extra win. So
yeah, that would work.
That's the cleanest thing and the easiest fix to do. I do think a couple of the errors that the league made is, like we said, number one, I think they could explain it a little bit more too and just drive home the point. No, it's not rest for teams that didn't qualify for the quarterfinals. Like, you're still playing
there was a
games
lot of confusion
against other teams, and really drill that home. The other thing is, I don't know that really promoting the crap out of these guys are getting $515,000 for winning this, and really driving home the message of, you know what, one thing that really motivates these guys? Money. Like, I don't know that that's what the general fan loves to hear. That maybe we could have cooled that on constantly referencing the $515K that all these guys are getting in the house that Liam Robbins is now going to be able to buy in Iowa because of this. So that's another thing. But the other point Dick raised about the schedule, Doc Rivers has talked about this too. I don't know how you really curb that because, look, they did a good job of building in a lot of rest leading into it, and Doc said, flip it. I mean, here's the problem. So the Bucks got a lot of rest, right?
Mm-hmm.
They played, Tuesday,
then
Saturday,
yep.
Tuesday. If they would have lost Tuesday, it would have been Tuesday and then either Sunday or Monday. That was their next game, and then wouldn't play again until Friday. So they're getting rest there. I get Doc's point on if you play, you're right back in it a couple of days later. You can't predict who's going to be in the final of the Cup, and you're not going to schedule any games the day after, so nobody's playing a back-to-back. The only way to avoid that is to basically make it a mini all-star break and tack on a couple of days off, which at that point my counter would be, why don't you basically double the length of this?
Mm-hmm.
And instead of 4 group play games, let's go with 8. And you play a home-and-home with each of the teams in your group.
I like that.
The group stages take a little bit longer. The tournament itself is played, sometime in late January, and the championship is played in place of the All-Star game. All-Star weekend, that weekend where you get all that time off around it. Now, again,
that was literally what I was just going to say.
The 2 teams that are in it are in an awkward spot where it's, okay, we start this break, and then we play a game, and then we get more days off, so we're not getting quite as much. So there's going to be pushback there. But the point is, there's no easy way to do it. And even if you build in, okay, we're going to do another set of rest where there's 2 or 3 days that are non-scheduled games after the Cup final, fine. But, again, understand what that means if you're the rest of the teams in this league and players in the Players Association is, what does that mean? How do you make up those days right there? Well, if you guys are complaining now about 15 back-to-backs, buddy, I hope you're happy with 18 or 19 or 20 back-to-backs, because that's the only way we can make up that time.
I really like the All-Star game, the All-Star Week idea that you mentioned. I was just sitting here kind of thinking when would be the right time, and I think that solves a lot of things. And not only do I think that solves a lot of things, is playing that in lieu of the All-Star game or having both.
It would have to be like a Saturday night thing.
Yeah.
And
I mean, you could have
a full week after that.
And then you have the week off, but you could have the All-Star festivities, you could have the All-Star game. If it's a weekend, say Saturday night, have the in-season tournament, the NBA Cup championship game Sunday. Then they have that week off, and not only that, Justin, but I think it'd add a little bit more to, like, the playoffs are shortly after the All-Star break, right? Like it's
2 months
roughly, yeah. So it kind of gears teams up for that playoff run, for that playoff push. I'd be curious if that would incentivize.
And I think the counter that the league would have to, like, why it's right now is because this is where they really started to see, this is where we get the drop-off.
It is.
In interest in the league, that people are tuned in to the final few weeks of the regular season in the NFL, and now you're seeing college football playoffs starting around this time.
I would say I would counter with and I agree with you, and you're right. I would counter with the Charles Barkley point that it needs to start after Christmas. Or Christmas Day is the season that is.
The only way they do that is if you reduce the games played.
Sure.
And, I mean, again, you're just going to have to show me the owner that's saying,
or
I'm fine with giving up money.
Yeah, well, maybe, or you push the NBA season into July.
They will not do that because they tried it once, and it was a massive failure in the ratings. So that's off the table. I think Adam Silver all but said that.
Okay. Because, I mean, you're not competing with anything at that point. Football.
You're competing with people on vacation.
Well, sure. But I think you're still competing with that throughout the course of the NBA season, are you not?
But you're competing at that point with people going on trips and going and out and about, like us in Wisconsin, going to your lake house and things like that in the summer. That's what they were up against.
But they're also still concerned about TV ratings, correct? Don't you think?
Well, that's what I'm saying. Those are the TV rate.
But I think you still. Yeah, I'd still think
they were clobbered.
Were they?
Yeah. 855-616-1620. The number to join us tonight on Bucks Talk is the Bucks beat the Wizards tonight without Giannis and Damian Lillard. We kind of deviated into the NBA Cup discourse, but it's been top of mind quite a bit. Doc Rivers talked about it again before the game, and we got our first look at the banner tonight, which has mentioned has been very polarizing. Dick shared his thoughts. We've seen some other thoughts as well. What I would say, you know what? No, we'll save it when we come back. A very brief, what I would say to address the banner gates and fans that are against the banner here, and take a look at this schedule that's in front of the Bucks, because you almost got a ton of help with other teams playing games tonight in the Eastern Conference, and as we mentioned this on the show last night a couple of times recently as well, you have a very favorable schedule in front of you to all of a sudden reinsert yourself in that discussion for even a top 3 seed in the Eastern Conference. We'll get into that conversation next on Bucks Talk.
This is Bucks Talk.
With the ability to market luxury homes on a higher scale than ever before, Century 21 Benefit Realty has taken a huge step forward to tap into a global network of buyers. Maximum exposure to spotlight your unique home with our fine homes and estates marketing so you can sell it for the highest price. And with no upfront fees and 1.9% real estate commission, you win. This is Angela Calais with Century 21 Benefit Realty, benefit-realty.com, where you pay less for full service. Each office is independently owned and operated. First off, our 1.9% commission structure helps get their foot in the door, and that's why agents like working here. But what they really like is having the strongest marketing tools available, with the resources to help them sell homes at the highest prices to satisfy their clients. Century 21 Benefit Realty offers what agents like most, and that's to help them be successful. If you really want to believe in the business model that you're representing, give me a call. I'm Angela Calais with Century 21 Benefit Realty. Call me, and let's talk about your future. Each office is independently owned and operated.
Do you know or work with kids who have special healthcare needs? Help them live their best lives. Contact Wisconsin Wayfinder Children's Resource Network. Our specialists will connect you with services in your area. Wisconsin Wayfinder is free and confidential. Call 877-947-2929 or visit dhs.wi.gov/WISCWAY. Connect today. Sponsored by the Wisconsin Department of Health Services.
The president of James Imaging Systems, Tom Tegeter.
Over 45 years ago, my father, James Tegeter, founded our company on a cornerstone of quality, integrity, and service as the best way of connecting with clients. As I reflect on 2024, I'm grateful for the James Imaging Systems team. Thank you for your unwavering commitment to always connecting with clients and helping them thrive. To each long-term client, I extend my gratitude and thanks for your confidence and support. We look forward to remaining connected to you as your local business technology partner. I also appreciate our new 2024 clients for connecting with us. Welcome to the James Imaging Systems family. Looking forward to 2025, I believe if each of us embraces the power of connection, our local community will prosper. Merry Christmas, Happy New Year, and God bless America.
James Imaging Systems, your local business technology partner.
Welcome back to Bucks Talk.
And that's the largest lead of the game of the two. Instead, they'll try for a three, and Middleton hits it from the top of the key. 73-56, 8 in a row scored by Milwaukee. And Middleton's got 6 of those with a couple of threes.
Yeah, 112-101, the final score tonight. Bucks take care of the Wizards in a game that they played without Damian Lillard and without Giannis. But as we mentioned, big games from Bobby Portis, 34 points, 20 at the half. I could have sworn he had a game with 20 points in one of the halves earlier this year. He did not. But it's the 10th time in his career he's had a 20-point half. 5 of those 10 have come with the Bucks. 2 assists short of a triple-double. The 8 assists are a career high for Bobby Portis, and where he gave them and when he gave them the offense I thought was huge, that it was just kind of staggered throughout the game that the Bucks got big offensive production from different guys, and it just overlapped. That where there were never really any of those lows. When there was, it was to open the fourth quarter, but the Wizards weren't scoring either. You went the first 3 minutes of the quarter with neither team scoring a basket. So he was big. Chris Middleton at 11 of his 18 points in the fourth, where he did not miss a three. He was huge there. And as you mentioned, Ryan Rollins, second start, second big game for this team in that role. 855-616-1620, the number to join us tonight on Bucks Talk. And what I was going to say about – I don't want to turn this into banner discourse, but what I was going to say about the banners, I heard so much of complaints about hanging a banner and how idiotic it is and what it actually says. I mean, I don't know what it means. I know it means it's kind of like our conversation last night about you're 0-6 right now against the Celtics and Cavs. I don't know what that means. Mm-hmm. I know it means something. I don't know how big it is. Winning the NBA Cup, I don't know what it means. I know, like we said with Dick, it shows you what's in the tank, that what this team can do against those teams. Granted, it was a single elimination game, and series are always different, but it shows you at least, okay, I know that's in there in certain matchups with the Bucks. But the importance of the event, I don't know where it is yet. It's the second year of it. You know, like...
And I think it's going to evolve, too, into something, though, Justin.
It's gonna,
I think it's going to matter.
It's going to continue to
in
evolve.
In a few years, we're going to be talking about it. It's going to be on resumes.
That's the hope.
Yeah, agreed.
Yeah, like, it's a second year. I don't know what it's going to evolve into fully. I'm not going to... Well, did we think the Super Bowl was going to be this important after 2 years? And look what that's become. I'm not ready to go there yet.
Sure.
But I do think we're only having this conversation because it is the second year. And maybe 10 years from now, it's, oh, man, look at most of these teams and players that have been important in this Cup situation and won those. But we're not there yet. Doc Rivers, I think, made the best point of you got to do something to commemorate it because of what these guys put in and the level of competition we saw throughout it. So you have to commemorate it somehow, but it should not be at the level of an NBA championship. And that's exactly what the Bucks did. Of, okay, we're going to honor this just like everything else you can check off. Division championships, conference championships, where we'll just note all the years that we won this thing. And you take that approach, and the same people that tell you, well, this is stupid to call attention to it and make a big deal out of it. If you take that approach, well, it looks cheap and it looks stupid. So there's just no winning. So my point to you of when you said, hey, I took some heat with the Ryan Rollins thing, well, who cares? Just don't seek Twitter for feedback.
Well, no, I know that. But I was telling you and Evan during the break that from my point of view, I was not able to see the banner. I could see it on the Jumbotron, but I did not know that it matched the conference championship and division championship banners. You obviously pointed that out to Dick. I'm completely fine with it.
Yeah,
I don't know what
do you want?
It's an identical
setup.
Yeah, it's identical.
Just,
if you look at it, it's appeasing to the eye. It's completely fine. Look, I think if you're in charge of banners at Pfizer Forum here, you don't want to put up one singular banner for a 2024 NBA Cup championship because you anticipate there's probably, hopefully, going to be more in the future.
How do you think they add the numbers to that?
Iron.
You take the actual banner down, or you get somebody up there on scaffolding?
No, they probably
in a high pressure.
Yeah, they
situation.
probably from the court here they do the scissor lift and rotate it over. No, I mean I think it's fine. And the problem is though, Justin, is everybody's going off of the Lakers banner from last year.
I couldn't tell. I don't remember.
I looked at it because I don't remember it either. It is extremely fancy. Like it's dedicated to that year and that year only. So I think fans are looking at what the Lakers did and the standard that they kind of set forth, and you see what I mean? Like it's extravagant.
It looks like an NBA championship.
It looks like it's extremely extra. Look, I think Thanasis on his podcast analysis that can be heard on ESPN Radio, he brought up a good point with this NBA Cup. He goes in Europe, it kind of started off the same way, but now they have evolved it into their season, and I don't know if that's going to happen here. Obviously, the NBA got this idea from the European leagues, but they have the triple threat, the triple crown is what they call it in Europe, and how that is measured to be if you get a triple crown and the greatness that it follows you with that title. So I just think it's going to get to that point. I do, and I can tell you that because the players have told us that, Justin. Like, if fans are still skeptical about why are we celebrating this? Why are we doing this? Who cares? The courts look dumb. They blah, blah, blah. It's working. It's working because the players are playing, in their eyes and in our eyes, meaningful basketball before December.
And, again, my feedback would be call attention to that, to the competition, to the Doc Rivers line of if there's a trophy, we want to win it.
Right.
Let's shine a light on that and less of a.
Correct.
And by the way, you get $515,000 because I think that's also where you start to lose some people. Yeah, I mean, I get what it's modeled after, and honestly, the ultimate sign of success for this league, for this event, I should say, is you're like not the NFL. You're not ever going to see it there, but when you see other leagues start to say, like Major League Baseball, for example, hey, why don't we do something like that?
Yeah.
Where it's a couple of months into the season, especially where you have 162 games, and we can set something up for teams to win something earlier in the season and bring out that level of competition, similar to like the World Baseball Classic.
Great point.
If we do something like that, like once you see another league say, well, why don't we do something like this? That to me is the ultimate sign of success for this event. But I mean, here's the thing: we can argue until we're blue in the face and debate how successful this thing is and what it's actually done to drive attention and has it worked. It has added nothing negative. It hasn't taken anything away from this. You can argue how much it's actually added, but I think at the very least it has added and brought more attention and interest in the product at this point. It has not made it worse in any way, shape, or form, unless you're just saying, I hate the courts. That's really the only thing.
If you're Vince Vitrano.
That's taken away from it. 855-616-1620, the number to join us tonight on Bucks Talk. I do want to touch a little bit on Ryan Rollins, who you mentioned, and this schedule that's in front of the Bucks. We'll get into that conversation next.
You're listening to Bucks Talk. AccuNet Mortgage is an equal housing lender. NMLS ID 255368.
Patrick and Monica initially chose a bank to get pre-approved and provide financing for the purchase of their first home. But they were getting a bad feeling when a week after their offer was accepted, the bank still hadn't locked in their rate, nor had the appraisal been ordered. Monica shared her concerns with a friend who happened to be a multi-time AccuNet client. That led to Monica connecting with one of our senior loan consultants the same day, and after gathering some information and reviewing options, we locked in their rate right then and there with loan cost $3,600 lower than what the bank had quoted. The appraisal was ordered right away too, and the loan closed on time just 3 weeks later. We also noticed an oversight in the contract that led to a $3,000 credit from the seller. You can get a generic pre-approval and average or worse service from a bank, or you can get the kind of fast service, advice, attention to detail, and savings that made Monica and Patrick AccuNet's latest raving fans. All you got to do to get started is click on the blue button at AccuNet.com. That's ACCUNET.com.
Before you go looking for an area rug that you'll have to settle for because you think that the one you really want will be out of your budget, come to Design Exchange, where you'll find a formidable selection of Oriental, Persian, and other wool area rug choices at 25 to 70% off retail. This is Katie with Design Exchange, where discerning buyers with discriminating tastes come to find premium home decor on consignment at a value. Design Exchange in Heartland and Pewaukee.
Design Exchange.
If you're trying to find really good, high-end, distinctive furniture, the kind they just don't make anymore, then come to Design Exchange. But you better get here quickly, because the best furniture we take in on consignment doesn't usually last long. It may be vintage, it may have once been out of your range, but now you'll find it's priced right. This is Katie with Design Exchange, where discerning buyers with discriminating tastes come to find premium home decor at a value.
Design Exchange.
Just like most cars and trucks can't run without oil, no person can function without food. That's why, through March 1st, the Auto Dealers of Metro Milwaukee is contributing $1 from every oil change to Feeding America, Eastern Wisconsin. Every dollar provides 3 healthy meals. Over the past 14 years, Adam has provided more than 2.6 million meals to people in southeast Wisconsin. And now, the need is greater than ever. Find a participating Adam dealer near you at adamm.com.
The Round Ball Repartee returns. This is Bucks Talk.
Rollins knocks away an entry pass intended for Big Sar. A steal. Portis to Rollins, running the floor, put it in, count it, and a foul. Ryan Rollins, the steal on one end, and he's rewarded for an and one on the other. 70 to 56 Bucks.
Very impactful night once again from Ryan Rollins, who finished with 14 tonight.
14, yep.
12 the last time he started against the Toronto Raptors. And I thought this was kind of Doc Rivers, and he kind of said this before the game too, but I thought this was kind of Doc Rivers saying, yeah, in some ways I wish I had a do-over on last night with that starting lineup. Mm-hmm. The 2 games that stand out in that aspect would have been last night where you looked at the starting group and you said, man, who's going to be the facilitator? And I know they've played with that 5-man starting group before last night with Giannis and Brooke and Taurean Prince and your backcourt of A.J. Green and Ajax. But it's not the reason why they lost the game. It didn't help that it was basically
correct.
Giannis, you're the guy that has to get us set up. And tonight a different approach. Now, tonight a totally different starting lineup with Chris Middleton back into that group. Doc gave some rationale on that too of I thought it was the easiest way to get us to the 25 minutes without avoiding a lot of log jams. But I thought this game tonight, or last night I should say, and that game against the Hawks, that was night 2 of a back-to-back where he himself said afterwards, I thought about this before the game and kicked it around with some other coaches. I think we probably should have went 11 or 12 deep in the first half to buy some time for guys that were dealing with the back-to-back, and maybe we could steal it in the second half. But I think I don't so much focus on defined role of primary backup or who's going to back up Dame, because truthfully the primary backup is Chris Middleton, who's going to run the offense for last year. We saw a ton of it running the second unit, the minutes where you can have both Giannis and Damian Lillard off the floor as well. Chris Middleton is going to be the guy that is essentially your backup point guard. But in terms of guys that can spell Dame in individual matchups, guys that can take on some point of attack matchups defensively on the other end of the floor, especially when it's minutes where Andre Jackson Jr., maybe the offense becomes an issue, or A.J. Green runs into foul trouble and, okay, break glass in case of emergency. That's where I've really started to come around on, it's at least a discussion, what I'm seeing from Ryan Rollins. The caveat is this. I don't want to make too much out of what is essentially 2 games as a starter and a handful of games played so far this season when comping that to a guy like DeLon Wright, who we've seen do it in the playoffs and do it in big spots throughout his career. But in a vacuum, it is tough to watch what we're seeing this year and not come away thinking, man, Ryan Rollins has really outperformed everybody else in that spot.
I completely agree. The only thing I would kind of push back on a tiny bit is the Chris Middleton. Do we think that his role is going to evolve into the starting lineup more? I mean, he's going to get...
Yeah, but Chris started last year, and Chris was your backup point guard.
Yeah, but I would rather not have Chris be the primary ball handler with that second unit.
The backup... But, again, we get too caught up on those labels. Like, the guy that's organizing the offense is Chris.
Right,
That is your point guard.
Right, but when you don't have Dame in, I would imagine that there's going to be either one of DeLon Wright, one of Pat Connaughton, correct?
No.
Who's going to be starting next to Chris, or who's going to be on the floor then with Chris Middleton?
Chris Middleton is the guy that runs the offense.
Right. I'm asking who's with him though.
How does that matter for backup point guard?
Because I would. What I'm trying to get to is that I would rather see Ryan Rollins ahead of the other guys that would be on the floor with that second unit.
I think what they're doing now is
they're staggering.
The best way to do it too, in that we're dipping these guys' toes in the water, and we're seeing what we have here. And the more I see, the more I like that we're going to gradually bring you along versus just dropping you in the deep end, go figure it out. And if you struggle, then we got to worry about your confidence. Like, they're in a good spot right now, and we've had the conversation about Pat Connaughton and DeLon Wright up until Dame missing time and Chris Middleton coming back. That pushed him out of the rotation.
Correct.
That I would much rather be there where we're talking about, man, Pat Connaughton didn't play again tonight. Like, Pat Connaughton isn't playing. DeLon Wright hasn't found the rotation. Marjon Beauchamp, like I've talked about it before with Marcus Johnson too, he still very strongly believes in Marjon Beauchamp, and as we mentioned last night, he looked pretty good. Granted, it was garbage time, but he looked good in the minutes he gave you last night against the Cavs. It's very different from where they were a year ago, where it feels like, okay, you have options this year, and you have guys that you feel like, I trust him. Like, I don't feel like one by one guys that you would throw in there, you feel like, well, this is a liability, so we really got to monitor it. Andre Jackson Jr. is the only one you would really classify there, and it's offense. It's not defense for that purpose. So in that sense, it is a far cry from where it was a season ago, where it just felt like, we know this probably isn't going to work, but
we don't have any other option.
We don't have anything else.
Well, and that goes back to the point that you've made, and then I have made, and then I have talked about last night. This team just makes sense. Like, the pieces on this roster just make sense. Tonight was a perfect example of that. No Giannis. Bobby Portis gets inserted into the starting lineup, into his spot, and number 34 is out, and Bobby Portis drops 34. And no Damian Lillard tonight. Ryan Rollins into the starting lineup. And 14 points, efficient. And defense shaky sort of in that first half, but it got better as the game went on. And again, this is the first, we played 31 minutes tonight. I don't know, probably the last time he's played 31 minutes was that start against Toronto, or near 31 minutes. I mean, he hasn't logged many minutes at all in the month of December, a couple here and there.
I'll say this. What was he tonight? Was it 2 of 4 on threes?
From threes, he was 2 of 5.
Okay, so what I would say is the spot for Ryan Rollins to seize minutes over DeLon Wright and to become a viable, this guy is going to play X amount of minutes, whatever game it is in playoffs and so on, is the shooting.
Yeah,
because
it separates it. Yeah.
Like, number one, it's just not DeLon Wright's game.
Correct.
He's out there for his defense, but to a lesser extent, I do think for as often as I and many of us have pointed out the good with the bad with Andre Jackson Jr. in that, okay, once teams start to play 5-on-4 and say we just don't have to pay attention to him, that's where you have to start to look at reducing minutes, or at least, okay, where can we fit him in? What spots can we fit him in? That's why I thought tonight was interesting with no Giannis, because he could play that role where he's the non-shooter on the floor. He still, I think, has to get better at attacking. And whether it's a floater, finishing at the rim, like something like that.
Without a doubt,
you can't just be the catch-and-shoot threes in the corner. But DeLon Wright has similar aspects. That he's not out there for his offense. He's out there for his defense. But even some of those spots, it's because he's more of a facilitator and a defender, he's hesitant to take the shot. So that's where Ryan Rollins, if he's going to take and make shots, and we've seen him add things like a floater to his game, certainly the corner threes. He's not afraid to put the ball on the floor and attack the rim either. If he's going to make shots, that's where he really can open up that door and separate himself.
What a good problem to have, though. I mean, you talk about depth, you talk about flexibility. You play in the matchups. Tonight was a great matchup for Ryan Rollins. The Wizards obviously not a very good team all around, but defensively team either. So it's a great problem to have, and that's goes back to the point of where I'm very optimistic, despite a shaky start to the start of the year, Justin. That I'm just optimistic that this team can get it together, and when they do, and when they're healthy, and obviously that's probably the bigger question, more so than anything. And you ran down the Eastern Conference teams last night. There's not a team that I don't think this Bucks team can beat, and that brings me back to the NBA Cup, where Doc Rivers had talked about. This showed us not only did they win a good amount of money, but it showed that they can beat, the top teams, the best team in the Western Conference, and two playoff teams that they're eventually going to see or could possibly see in Orlando. Obviously, they weren't healthy, but then they beat Atlanta as well. So, again, good things are happening with this Bucks team. They handled business tonight. They did exactly what they were supposed to do, and the best part about it is you were able to sit Giannis and Dame. And I'm not saying that they aren't obviously having an injury, but you didn't feel you needed to play them. The schedule matched up well to what happened Friday night into Saturday night, sitting your two stars and then being able to get a double-digit win.
All right, we will take a look at the schedule in front of the Bucks again. The caveat is you basically get to stay home for 10 days. We'll take a look at that schedule next on Bucks Talk.
The Hardwood Homilies continue after this. This is Bucks Talk.
Heart disease won't stop us. Diabetes, allergies, cancer. Nothing will keep the Froedtert and the Medical College of Wisconsin Health Network from pushing Wisconsin ahead. We're constantly raising the bar for medical excellence and providing more ways to receive it, so you have it for all your health needs, big and small. Let's push ahead, and we'll make life here as great as it can be. Visit Froedtert.com to find out how.
Hi folks, this is Hank Albert, owner of BBC Lighting. With colder weather in the forecast and no festivals to attend, our showroom is a year-round festival the whole family will enjoy. Read our reviews. Our store has it all, including the finest lighting and ceiling fans available, such as Visual Comfort, Hubbardton, Tech, and hundreds more at unbeatable prices. I guarantee it. If it's repairs or lampshades you need, we have all that too. There's also unique sports and historical items, neon lights, slot machines, and much more for sale. You'll find fun for the kids and our famous free popcorn. BBC is open Monday through Saturday and located at 20th and St. Paul Avenue near Potawatomi Casino. Stay safe and healthy, my friends.
Monica, what delightful surprise do you have for us this Christmas?
I've been waiting all day for your big reveal.
Take a look and tell me what you see.
Oh, that's gorgeous.
I see the North Star, that guiding light that always lets you know where you are.
The North Star is important to you?
Sitting directly above the axis of the Earth, it's the only star in the sky that never moves. It's always there for you.
Sarah?
I see the star that stood high over Bethlehem 2,000 years ago.
Starlight, star bright, first star I see tonight. I wish I may, I wish I might.
Monica, it's fabulous.
Nicole Lasker designed it.
I love her.
What's it called?
The Star of Hope. We have them in sterling silver with 4 diamonds for just $198. And in white gold with bigger and bigger diamonds at prices up to $19.98.
I love it.
I love it even more than Rick does.
The Star of Hope.
For the location of the Kesslers nearest you, visit KesslersDiamonds.com.
This is Bucks Talk.
Harrington able to hit. Here's Portis wide open from Middleton. Sneide shoots, hits another 3. Bobby Portis, the best game of his season, continues to grow. That's his 28th point on his 4th made 3. 99-82.
So you had the schedule that Doc Rivers said needs to be addressed starting next year, where you open up on the road against the Cavs. You didn't know the Cavs were going to have 4 losses at the time of that game when the schedule was made, but you knew it's going to be tough. You also didn't know you'd be playing in the NBA Cup final just a couple of days prior to that. But that was the bad part of it. The good part is you returned home very early this morning, had to play this game, which you won, but now you're basically home until December 30th. You have 2 road games between now and then. They are both in Chicago against the Bulls. So you play Monday night in Chicago. You'll bust down Monday afternoon for that game. Then you come back home. You don't play again until the day after Christmas, which is at home against the Brooklyn Nets. Then you have another game 2 days later in Chicago where you'll bust down. Then you get 2 days off before playing again. So you would leave 1 day later to hit the road. But even that, it's not a bus ride, but it's Indianapolis on New Year's Eve in a matinee game. So that's the good piece of this, is you're basically home for the next 10 days, save for bus rides. And they had a pretty similar thing, much more extended last year, if you remember. Last year they were basically home all of December because it had the cup games that bled into the month where you had that stretch of, I think it was a 6-game homestand, and then you had the quarterfinal game, which was a home game. Then you went to Vegas. Then you came back, played home games, and I think you had at least 1 more game in Chicago, if not 2, where it was for like 18 days you were basically home. So for whatever reason, the Bucks have cornered the market on basically staying home around Christmas.
Giannis called it in. Well, not only are they staying home, though, too, Justin, I think like their quality of opponents, are not, going to test them hopefully too much. But, the Bulls have been playing better. They won.
Beat the Celtics.
Besides, after the loss tonight to the Celtics, they're winners of 3 in a row. So you're able to kind of play opponents to where, you should be favored in each one of those games, I would imagine.
They've been winning those games regularly.
And they've been winning those games regularly. You're absolutely right. So that's the other plus side to it. And the other part of what I thought tonight was such a big win, and I don't want to, roll over it because I know that it, is the Wizards are 4-22. They're not very good. But, like, you finally dug yourself out of this hole, and you had a bad game against Cleveland, and you just didn't want that to snowball into things that we saw earlier in the year. And this team is obviously able to kind of put a stop to that, as we have seen, even with that loss to the Hawks a couple weeks ago. In the beginning of December, they go on and they win the NBA Cup. And so, like, those are the other things that I look forward to. Are they able to bounce back despite it not being a very good opponent? It doesn't matter, man. It's a back-to-back, a second leg of a back-to-back, and you're traveling, and you had a week in Vegas. There was a lot of moving parts for this team. You didn't have your top 2 players, so credit to the Bucks for, I thought, a very big win tonight. You get 3 games up over 500, and now, like you said, cherry on top is you're pretty much home to finish the month of December, and really don't see a winning team until January 8th when they play San Antonio.
And you avoid back-to-back losses.
Correct.
Like, it's going to happen again this season, but put that off as long as you can as you continue to stack some more wins and move further out of that 2-8 hole. There is one number unrelated to this game that will absolutely blow your mind that we have to share as we take a look at the league this evening. We'll get to that as part of our closing thoughts after this.
This is Bucks Talk.
We've saved our clients over $19 million in real estate commission. I say this because that's a pretty big number. But at Century 21 Benefit Realty, it's really not about being a top volume agency. Over here, it's more about you. And at 1.9% commission and no more than $19,000 commission, for the listing side of your sale, no matter what size property you're selling, you will save substantially. This is Angela Calais with Century 21 Benefit Realty, benefit-realty.com, where you pay less for full service. Each office is independently owned and operated. First off, our 1.9% commission structure helps get their foot in the door, and that's why agents like working here. But what they really like is having the strongest marketing tools available, with the resources to help them sell homes at the highest prices to satisfy their clients. Century 21 Benefit Realty offers what agents like most, and that's to help them be successful. If you really want to believe in the business model that you're representing, give me a call. I'm Angela Calais with Century 21 Benefit Realty. Call me, and let's talk about your future. Each office is independently owned and operated.
Hey, it's Kristen Bry, and I have a new dentist, Dr. James Michaels at Economawalk Dental Care, and I'm looking forward to telling you all about him and his awesome staff. After my first appointment with him, it turned out I needed a crown replaced, and like most of us usually are, I was apprehensive. But with the new state-of-the-art dental procedures that Dr. Michaels uses, I had my crown prepped and finished in less than 2 hours. If you have a fear of going to the dentist, Dr. Michaels and his staff will put you at ease. Whether you need a simple cleaning and exam, a more complex dental procedure, a teeth whitening, an implant for a missing tooth, Economawalk Dental Care will always make you feel as comfortable as possible and give you and your family an amazing smile. At Economawalk Dental Care, affordable quality dentistry is no longer a dream, it's a reality. Dr. Michael's fantastic staff can help you with a no-interest payment plan, or give them a call at 262-567-7224. Start the holidays on a good note by feeling confident about your smile and go see my dentist, Dr. James Michaels at Economawalk Dental Care.
Good Karma Brands is proud to be an equal opportunity employer. Our policy is to provide equal opportunity employment, development, and advancement to all current and potential teammates. If you are an organization that maintains a job bank, provides employment information, or gives job referrals, you may request to be placed on the station's mailing list for future career opportunities. To learn more about careers at Good Karma Brands, please email careers@goodkarmabrands.com.
Welcome back to Bucks Talk.
I'm on top of the world.
All right, the Bucks beat the Wizards tonight 112-101, and they do so without Giannis and Damian Lillard. The big takeaway, Bobby Portis was fantastic for the Bucks, but they got production everywhere, as we mentioned. Chris Middleton very good in the third quarter. You just got these sparks all across the floor, and a very nice win, even though it's against a team that has just 4 wins this season. I mentioned there's a number out there that is going to blow your mind when we get to it. So in a game that was played earlier tonight, you had a showdown between the Miami Heat and the Orlando Magic.
I know where you're going with this.
So the Magic were already playing without Franz Wagner and without Jalen Suggs, who hurt himself against the Oklahoma City Thunder on Thursday night, and without Paolo Banchero, who remains out, as Franz and Paolo both have the torn oblique. Jalen Suggs had an ankle issue Thursday night. Early in that game, Wendell Carter went down with an injury.
Lord.
Mo Wagner also went down with an injury. So those 5 guys all out in the second half. Banchero, Franz Wagner, Jalen Suggs, and Mo Wagner are the 4 leading scorers for the Magic. They are the only 4 players on the roster that average 10 or more points per game. All out. Going into the fourth quarter of this game with the Miami Heat, they trailed 106-84, down by 22 points going into the fourth. They trailed in this game by as many as 25. In NBA history, we have seen 797 now instances of a team trailing by 22 or more going into the fourth quarter. Tonight was the 797th. In the previous 796, no one had won that game. The Orlando Magic outscored the Miami Heat 37-8.
Fantastic.
In the fourth quarter to win, becoming the first team ever in 797 tries to win a game in which they trailed by 22 or more going into the fourth quarter. We talked about this the other night when you say, hey, there's teams that you look at around the league and you say, I remember that last year. That, to me, is the other. Be grateful for what you have, because it does feel like it's in a much better spot. All of this.
Certainly is.
Defense, offense, the way they're winning games and so on for the Bucks this season. So at least you're not blowing 22-point leads in the final 12 minutes.
Yeah, I'll take where we're at right now. Absolutely.
Monday night, Bucks and the Bulls from Chicago. That is a 7 o'clock tip from the Windy City. 6:30 is when our pregame coverage will begin on WTMJ. And as always, be sure to tune in after the game for Bucks Talk. Brandon and I will talk to you then.
Happy holidays from Siding on